Rain tapped lightly against the glass walls of the high-rise office as Mitchell Hayes leaned back in his leather chair, a heavy frown etched across his face. Spread out before him were two reports, each demanding his attention but for very different reasons. One report, from corporate operations, showed nothing but good news. Efficiency rates up, inventory loss down, customer satisfaction scores climbing steadily. It was the kind of data that should let a CEO rest easy. Numbers never lied, or at least, they weren't supposed to. The second report, however, had his instincts on high alert. It wasn't even a full report. Just a footnote, really, attached at the bottom of a much larger human resources packet. Almost an afterthought, some supervisors note unusual behaviors during night shifts. One employee, Samuel Ortiz, consistently stays late without explanation. No misconduct, just unusual. Mitchell hated words like unusual. It was the corporate way of saying, we don't want to get involved. And he had learned long ago that when people chose not to get involved, something worth noticing was always happening. He skimmed further. Ortiz wasn't a disciplinary issue. In fact, his performance was exceptional. Top productivity numbers, flawless attendance, not a single error on his records. If anything, he was too perfect. But the odd, subtle notes stacking up around his name, unclaimed noise reports, security anomalies, shelves mysteriously reorganized, told Mitchell something deeper was happening. Something hidden. He stared at the reports, his gut tightening. This company was his life's work. He'd started it from a single shipping bay and a handful of loyal friends willing to load boxes in the rain. Now it was 5 distribution centers strong, with hundreds of employees across the state. But success hadn't dulled his instincts. Numbers told one story, people told another. Mitchell opened his bottom drawer and pulled out a faded manila folder labeled simply, Internal Temp Onboarding. The last time he'd used it was 2 years ago, during an undercover investigation that exposed serious misconduct among warehouse managers. It had been exhausting work, but it had led to sweeping reforms and saved the company's culture. Maybe it was time to go undercover again. By that evening, Mitchell had cleared his schedule, called in a favor at a staffing agency, and crafted a new identity, Marcus Reed, temp worker. The kind of name and face no one would remember 5 minutes after seeing. Standing in his bathroom mirror later that night, Mitchell hardly recognized himself. He wore worn-out jeans, scuffed work boots, a thin hoodie, and a trucker cap pulled low over his brow. The confident CEO had been replaced by a man who looked every bit like he was fighting to make rent. He needed to find out what Samuel Ortiz was hiding, if anything. The warehouse at night felt different from the bustling daytime operations Mitchell was used to seeing. The air hummed with mechanical noise. Forklifts whirred by. Scanners beeped steadily. Conveyor belts clicked along. But underneath it all was a heavy stillness. No chatter. No laughter. Just bodies moving automatically, like parts of the machines themselves. At exactly 6:02 p.m., Marcus Reed clocked in for his first shift. A burly night manager named Owen barely glanced at him before shoving a clipboard into his hands. Zone 3, Owen muttered. You'll be shadowing Sam over in receiving. Mitchell nodded and followed the narrow rows of steel shelving, past mountains of sealed boxes and heavy crates. He found Ortiz exactly where the floor plan said he would be, moving like a machine, transferring freight with practiced precision. Sam Ortiz was younger than Mitchell had expected, maybe mid-20s. Slim, agile, with short-cropped dark hair and a quiet focus in his every movement. His safety vest hung a little loose, and his boots were scuffed from long nights on the concrete. Hey, Mitchell said casually, I'm Marcus. New temp. Sam offered a quick nod. Cool. You worked outbound before? Not really, Mitchell lied. No problem. I'll show you. And just like that, they got to work. No small talk. No curiosity. Just efficient, methodical instruction. What struck Mitchell most wasn't how Sam worked. It was how everyone else reacted around him. Or rather, didn't. Coworkers nodded politely when passing him, but no one lingered. No jokes. No banner. No camaraderie. Sam moved like a ghost through the building's scene, but never engaged. During the scheduled 15-minute break, most workers gathered near the vending machines, chatting idly or scrolling their phones. Mitchell grabbed a crate near the edge of the dock and pretended to scroll his own phone while watching Sam. Sam didn't join the others. Instead, he drifted behind the shelving units, picking up stray trash, resetting knocked-over cones, checking maintenance locks on unused pallet jacks. Quiet things. Things no one else bothered with, especially not on their break. Mitchell's brow furrowed. This wasn't about being a good employee. This was something else. Something personal. Later that night, when the final shipment was loaded and most of the team clocked out, Mitchell lingered behind, pretending to tie his boots. Sam didn't clock out. He grabbed a flashlight and disappeared into the restricted maintenance hallway like it was second nature. No hesitation. Mitchell waited a few minutes, then quietly followed. The back corridors of the warehouse felt abandoned. No cameras, no supervisors, just old pipes and faded warning signs. The perfect place to be invisible. Mitchell found Sam kneeling in a dusty side room, surrounded by tools. He was repairing a busted pallet jack. Alone. No work order. No assignment. No recognition. Just fixing it because it needed fixing. Mitchell stayed hidden, watching the methodical movements, the way Sam tightened bolts, wiped grease from fittings, checked pressure gauges like a seasoned mechanic. When Sam finished, he packed up without a word and vanished into the night. No clockout. No paycheck bump. No applause. Just a man doing the right thing when no one was watching. Mitchell couldn't sleep that night. His mind raced with possibilities. Why work so hard in silence? Why hide effort that could earn praise or even a promotion? The next evening, Mitchell arrived hours before his shift officially started. He found Sam already there, tucked away in another hidden maintenance closet, working on a dismantled electrical panel. Beside him, taped neatly to the inside of the panel door, was a handwritten checklist. Replace blown fuses. Clean terminal contacts. Test panel voltage. Label wires properly. Each task checked off, dated meticulously. Sam had been doing this for weeks, an entire maintenance routine, off the clock, completely invisible to management. Mitchell's respect deepened into awe. Sam wasn't hiding mistakes. He was hiding excellence. By the end of that week, Mitchell had seen enough. He arranged to stay after hours again, shadowing Sam as he swept neglected corners, restocked emergency supplies, tightened loose safety barriers, actions invisible to anyone who wasn't looking for them. Finally, one night, Mitchell revealed himself. When Sam spotted him lurking by a supply rack, his guard shot up immediately. "You following me?" Sam asked sharply. Mitchell stepped forward, hands raised in peace. "I'm not here to get you in trouble." Sam narrowed his eyes. "Then what do you want?" "I want to understand why you're doing all this," Mitchell said honestly. Slowly, Sam's shoulders eased. After a long pause, he spoke. "My dad worked nights at Northside Depot," he said. Slipped on a spill no one cleaned up. Crushed his spine. Management didn't care, just sent him home with a settlement and a list of doctors. He swallowed hard. "I do this because if I fix it before someone gets hurt, maybe no one else has to live like he does now." Mitchell said nothing for a long moment, the weight of Sam's words sinking deep into his bones. This wasn't about ambition. It wasn't about earning gold stars. It was about doing what was right, even when no one else bothered. The next morning, Mitchell ended his undercover assignment. He returned to the warehouse as himself, tailored suit, polished shoes, CEO confidence intact. The entire night shift crew was assembled by the loading dock within 15 minutes. Confusion buzzed through the air. Mitchell stepped forward and addressed them directly. "I came here undercover because something didn't add up," he began. "And what I found wasn't misconduct. It was something extraordinary." He turned towards Sam. "This man built a shadow safety system, repaired critical equipment, and protected every one of you without asking for anything in return. Not money, not recognition, not even a thank you." The room fell into stunned silence. Starting immediately, Mitchell announced, Sam Ortiz would become the company's new regional safety coordinator. His methods would be formalized into company policy. His quiet leadership would become the new standard. The applause that erupted afterward was raw and real. Sam didn't beam with pride. He didn't fist pump or cheer. He simply nodded. Because he hadn't done it for glory. He'd done it because he refused to look away. Weeks later, when Mitchell visited the warehouse again, everything felt different. Workers noticed the small things now. Loose wires were taped down. Pallet jacks were maintained. Safety reports flowed through a new, faster system that bypassed slow supervisors. And at the heart of it all stood Sam Ortiz, sleeves rolled up, clipboard in hand, training a new generation of workers to care when no one else was watching. Quiet leadership had changed the company more than any quarterly report ever could. And Mitchell Hayes knew deep in his bones. True greatness doesn't shout. It whispers. And it lasts.